Thanks, everybody, for joining us for Wednesday's edition of Elko Live here on KELK. And this is our time to get caught up with Elko Senior Center Director Matt McCarty is joining us in studio. Always a pleasure, Matt. How fun to see you. And here we are, brand new month.
Yes, ma'am. Another month. It happens so quickly. I can't believe that another month has already passed and we're into February. It seems like we're just celebrating Christmas. So.
Yep, it's true. And you can bring us all the good news. We hope that there's a lot of good news about our senior center. The menu looks amazing. There's a lot going on and activities at the terrace at Ruby View.
There's always something at the terrace. Absolutely, yes. And we are very happy to be able to provide the menu that we do. Today we had more than 130 people. Now, part of that was not necessarily just because of the Salisbury steak that we had, a Swiss steak. Swiss steak, I think, was today.
With parsley potatoes?
That's right.
Yes,
yeah.
So I checked the menu.
I did ask the chef, I said, or our kitchen team, I said, if there's some extra potatoes, I'll take a few of those extra potatoes because they look really good. But yeah, the Swiss steak today, and I think the menu is certainly as good, and that certainly draws them in. But we also have this wonderful partnership with the Food Bank of Northern Nevada. And they, once a month, send up the Produce on Wheels truck. Today is that day. And it is great to see how many people come out for that. And they're getting fresh produce. They're getting it for free because the food bank is so generous. And it helps us as well because they come inside, then they're eating our meal as well. And today especially, they're able to stay a little bit warmer by keeping in the building.
You know, I am so glad you mentioned that too, Matt, because this is part of the conversation too that's ongoing. Fish made a presentation to City Council last night, Jennifer Koopman, and we all know that among the various partners, the Senior Center has been a proud partner with Fish because so much of that need comes from our senior population, veterans population, for example, and other families.
That's right. You know, and Fish is such a vital part of the community. It is so important, the services that they provide. And yes, we do try to partner with them as much as we can. We do have a food pantry for our, for seniors specific. It's very specific to the seniors, and it's not part of either Fish's or Food Bank of Northern Nevada's programs. It's something that we run completely on our own. But we are looking at trying to partner a little bit more. And so, for example, we have our Meals on Wheels program in Spring Creek. And I met with Jennifer Koopman, and we talked about how we could expand that partnership and how we could try to make sure that we're getting the resources that are available to the folks that need them. So for our purposes, if Fish has clients that are out in Spring Creek that also are clients of ours, or vice versa, then we can start delivering meal boxes to them from Fish. So we're looking forward to being able to see what we can accomplish with that.
Well, that's great news, Matt. And again, I think it's important we can have this discussion on the radio because then the community is confident. This isn't a redundant service. You have different clients, different needs, and different specifications of people that do need to qualify for your services.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we were paying attention to because we don't want that overlap. There certainly is a safety net issue that an overlap is important, but on something like this, no. If they're getting food from us and they're getting food from Fish, then in reality they're taking food from someone else. So we want to make sure that we are keeping that awareness of who are their clients, who are our members, make sure that we are overlapping appropriately and that we're not doubling up.
Yep, that's great. And more of talks to come, I'm sure, in the future. So on that subject too, we heard from Jennifer last night at council that one of their grants is being held up and it's $40,000. That creates a huge hole. How is the senior center doing?
So we are lucky. We are blessed that we have had a very, we have generous donors. And we've had very fiscally sound boards, which have done a really good job for us. And so we are okay. The freeze at the federal level a month ago kind of sent shockwaves across the entire country, and nonprofits and government agencies specifically were very much impacted by this. So I sent a text out to our board the day that I think the president said it on a Monday. So Tuesday morning when I saw the news, sent out a message to the board and said, we are okay right now, but this is not sustainable. And we, fate would have it, we had just submitted to the state our quarterly grant for the end of calendar year 24. So it was about $65,000 for the quarter, and that froze up because of the actions at the White House. And so we did get part of that released, about a third of that released. We're still waiting on the big part of it. But I told our board, I said, from a cash flow standpoint, we can survive one quarter. We can then we have to get into our reserves, and we can survive on our reserves for probably another 3 quarters. But after that, it is going to be a problem, and that's something that we have to be aware of. We are in a blessed situation that we're not having to scramble to be able to meet payroll or to be able to meet the grocery bills for serving 6,500 people a month. And that's something that we're not in that oh my gosh situation. But if a federal freeze comes through and it impacts the Older Americans Act, which in turn impacts the State Aging and Disability Services Division, then it does directly impact all of our senior centers across the state. And the Elko Senior Center is okay. Some of our smaller senior centers, they would not be able to, I don't think, last if they had to skip out on a quarter or more of the reimbursements that come from the state to feed our seniors.
Matt McCarty is director of the Senior Center, known as the Terrace at Ruby View. Thank you, Matt. That is a great explanation, and again, just reminds people of the importance of where we are at this point in time. And I do recall the founders of our very own Elko Senior Center, much like the Horizon Hospice Center, they always had independence in mind. They always wanted to make sure that we were financially secure, and as you mentioned, putting some resources or endowment aside so that there would be money in case of an emergency. But as you just described, the Senior Center, like many nonprofits, quarter to quarter. I mean, you still have bills to pay and expenses to meet.
Absolutely. And we are still working towards that independence. So for more than 40 years, we've been working towards that independence. And we're blessed, again, that we have some reserves, but we're not there to that fully endowed ability to be able to be self-supporting. It'd be great to be able to get there. One, because then we don't have to worry about things like this. But also, if we can be self-supporting and we can be independent, then that gives that ability for those other funds to be spread a little bit further. We know that we in Elko County, certainly, and in northeastern Nevada, we are the Elko County or Elko area is the big dog, and so we do have more resources here. Wells and Carlin and Jackpot don't have nearly as many resources. And so if those funds can be spread a little bit further into those communities to be able to help the folks there, that's certainly what would be beneficial for everyone.
Thank you, Matt. Again, Matt McCarty, our director of our Senior Center, a great relationship with Elko County. And so the county, I'm sure, will be aware of in the coming weeks and months if there does need to be assistance. Some of these centers may be standalone, but as you mentioned, maybe Wells, Jackpot could need assistance going forward. And if not, our friends in Carlin, where they're also very determined. They like to be independent. They have wonderful citizens who do everything they can. But again, there are a lot of people on very fixed incomes themselves.
And that's just it. And I have not had direct conversations with our directors in the other outlying areas, or not even outlying areas, but in Carlin. I've not spoken with Barbie. I've not spoken with Gayla over in Wells, and so directly on this. What I do know, though, is that it's expensive to buy groceries. We regularly have $20,000 bills for our food and to run the kitchen. And again, it's a scaled up option. Carlin and Wells they're not serving 6,500 people, but they still have that proportion that's there. And each of us does our best to stretch the dollars as far as possible. So I certainly don't want to have anybody in the community think, oh my gosh, the senior centers are failing. That's not it. But it is a precarious situation when funding is frozen or when funding goes away. And it's important that those, as you know, at the senior center, it says, through these doors walk the people that made this country great. And that's exactly what it is. We do want to make sure that those who came before us, that have paved the road for us, that have helped to make this country great, are taken care of. We have a bit of a responsibility to do that. And so that's kind of what that comes from. And where we may not be able to have that independence quite yet, we are certainly thankful for the generosity that has given us as much as we have. And we certainly will rely on it continuing into the future.
Matt is director of the Senior Center, which is one of the most respected and certainly relied upon nonprofits in the community. So again, we appreciate the update and just the reality and the fact that your group is among others who are collaborating and working together. Nobody is trying to be an alarmist. We just want to make sure the community is aware and that we can move forward and help to continue to provide meals to people who need them.
Absolutely. And it's funny. It's that marketing adage of when business is down, that is not the time to cut marketing. And I want to express also that when there is fear or when there are warnings, that is not the time to stop supporting nonprofits. That is exactly the time to start supporting nonprofits. And when you hear of a nonprofit like Fish that says, hey, publicly, we're just letting you know that we would like some additional help, that doesn't mean, pull everything back. Maybe you do want to take a little bit, extra time and look into it more of what happened, but certainly don't pull everything back, please, because from a nonprofit standpoint, again, a week or two of lost revenues has a dramatic effect.
And Elko holds its nonprofits very accountable, Matt. So I'm glad that you mentioned that because, unfair scrutiny or flippant remarks, things that are mentioned even, possibly in humor on social media could be very harmful and undermine the confidence that we have in our nonprofits, Matt. I mean, rarely is there a scandal. I mean, we do know that some nonprofits handle large amounts of money, sometimes millions of dollars, but that just intensifies the scrutiny and responsibility that our citizens and our elected officials feel toward these groups, and they respond with transparency.
We certainly do our best, yes. We are so interconnected within the nonprofit world, and we visit through PACE or through the county's social services side of things, or through the Aging and Disability Services planning group. There are a lot of different interconnections with this web, this support net that is social services in Elko and the nonprofit side of things. So we do know when, we maybe need to shore things up over here, and we are also looking at things. We want to make sure that we're as transparent as possible so that folks have confidence in us. And we want to make sure that our fellow nonprofits are also transparent, because if one fails, it will impact the rest of us. And when we know right now with Fish, we're doing what we can to help Fish, because it goes back to that banking thing of, it's too big to fail. Fish is too important to fail in Elko County. There are not enough resources available. There are not enough organizations available to pick up and keep running if something happens to Fish. So we certainly want folks to know that this is a hiccup, and hiccups happen, and we wish it didn't happen. We wish that whatever the situation is had been identified so that it could have been a smoother transition, but it is what it is, and let's continue to support them. Let's continue to do what we can to make our community stronger.
Thank you, Matt. One more reflection, and then obviously we can shift gears. I know there are plenty of other topics for the terrace today. I interviewed a local reverend who she's a pastor at one church, a reverend at another, so they share because they have very small congregations. She's leading a couple of community projects, hoping to get our Ministerial Alliance or Elko Religious Leaders Association up and running again, because this is a group that can mobilize quickly. They have access to people who are already in tune and generous. And she saw this work in action with the giving machine meetings in December with the LDS Church, the Catholic Church. So I spoke with Julie Weiss, and her interview will be on Friday. She said something that really stuck with me, Matt. She said that her perception of Elko right now is that there really isn't a strong middle class. We have people who are living quite comfortably. They have six-figure incomes, largely driven, by the mining industry. Nobody begrudges that. But then we have very poor people. And so we are asking a lot of, say, what's left of the middle class to sort of shore up these gaps.
Yeah, and that is a good point. And one way to look at that is our amazing real estate market. I'm amazed at what real estate prices are, and I mean, like my own house. I'm thankful for the value of our house, but I would never have expected that type of an asset when we built it 10 years ago. I wouldn't have expected that it would be worth that much. And so when you look at that, and people are able to afford these prices, it does give that indication of, okay, where is that middle market? Where is that middle income? Because it seems that the prices keep going up, but yet we don't have a new supply of even lower income, middle income housing coming in. So it's interesting that you say that, because it is something that I think in the back of my mind I've kind of known, but I've not really thought through that. And the real estate market is amazing, and it's great, and it's so beneficial to so many. But those that don't have that investment and that asset, it is leaving them further behind, which then does leave that bigger gap that we don't have here in our area. And you mentioned it. I mean, the mining industry and the support that comes with that has done amazing for our neck of the woods. But there are some gaps there.
Talking about that amazing Elko bubble with Matt McCarty. He's director of our senior center. Thanks, Matt, for taking the time and going through some of those important social issues right now, and how, again, we're collaborating as nonprofits and in our community. We want to help people. We want to make things better if we can, and we also want to be realistic and transparent at the same time. So,
yes, ma'am.
All right. So other things you have on your list, there are some great fundraisers, speaking of ways people can have fun and support the senior center too.
Yes, absolutely. And I do want to go back just a little bit to the giving machine. I don't have exact numbers quite yet. In all transparency, because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has done such a good job with the giving machine, they are going through a full audit of what it was that was donated. And when that audit is finished, then we'll be able to know what those numbers are. But my understanding is that the Elko area was so generous, they gave through the giving machine about twice what was expected. And my understanding is, I think that was about half of what the community of Reno did, which is 10, 15 times our size. Now, granted, ours was a different time period, and so that's going to have some impact. And it was the first time that we had seen it, and so that does give that rollout as well. But I'm so thankful to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and everyone who supported that, the interfaith ministries and all of course, the citizens and the community members that came out. It is wonderful, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the senior center did. And we had 5 items, and where we can get some warm clothes out to our seniors, or get them some pantry food, and be able to go from there.
That's great. And our very own personal giving machine can continue, by the way, because all you have to do is call the Terrace, the Senior Center, 775-738-3030, and say, I'd like to buy a senior meal for someone for the year or the month or even a week, and it could make a big difference.
It does make a huge difference. Absolutely.
Yes. So,
and it is easy to do.
Yeah, you can keep those contributions going. I'm waiting I have numbers in front of me, but they're not official, so I'm not going to release them. But I think Elko did all right when it came to the giving machine. So,
I agree.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
We do have a fundraiser tomorrow night. That's our monthly bingo. So bingo in Elko will be tomorrow night. And buy-in is only $10, and it's a cash payout. So 100% cash rewards. I don't want to say rewards, awards So when you win, then that's what we're getting back to you. And so doors open at 5. Sorry, I was losing track of my thoughts there. Doors open at 5. Game starts at 5:30. We play 11 games. We have a progressive that has grown fairly large, and then we also have 10 regular games, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a good way to come out and enjoy and perhaps win a little bit of money.
You got to be 21 or older.
21 or older, because it is through the Nevada Gaming Control Board. We are appreciative of the ability for us to be able to hold that as a nonprofit and through that charitable giving. So we're thankful for that. You must be 21 and older. And in Spring Creek, we will hold it next Wednesday. Seems that depending on how the calendar falls, oftentimes when we're on this show, it's Spring Creek bingo that evening. But we're a little bit early this month, just because of the way it fell. And so what I tell people is, if you want to win, if winning is your key, then Spring Creek is the place to go. If money is the key, then Elko is the place to go, because there are fewer players out in Spring Creek, so we have much fewer dollars that are paid out. But your odds of winning out there are easily 1 in 15 or so. So.
That's fantastic. These are, again, just great ways to support your community. And there are some very serious bingo competitors out there, Matt. So the fact that you have this much longevity tells me that you're running a pretty good bingo show.
It certainly is popular, yes. Absolutely. And we're glad that we can help along with that. And we have so another partnership that we have, because of course we rent out the building as well. And so Nevada Gold Mines, my understanding is that they'll be having some bingo coming in as well next month. Now, whether that's open to the public or if it's just for their families, I'm not quite certain. But I'm glad that we're going to have a couple of extra games of bingo sounding out through the dining room next month as well.
Well, that's fun. Bingo is certainly popular, or it's making a comeback, you could say. We do know that our senior center is a wonderful venue, by the way. You have lots of clubs and organizations that meet regularly, and it's also a nice spot if you want to plan a summer wedding or any kind of other family gathering. I understand you can rent the facility for a very nominal fee.
Yes, ma'am. The facility is available, and we fill up fairly quickly on some weekends, but we try to make it as easy as possible. And it can be for just an hour or so in our smallest room, or you could have the entire building for all day. It's again, there are so many different options that folks can do, and we have simple small meetings that are just business meetings, all the way up to I think it was 350 people at a wedding. We were starting to bust at the seams. That was a very, very big one. But we can do these kind of things, and depending on the weather, we have a beautiful patio. So you overlook that terrace, you overlook the city of Elko, and it's beautiful there. But we can try to make just about any arrangements that we can.
Soon it will be time to start talking about the summer games that, of course, the Elko Senior Games that Elko loves to participate in, a lot of partners, and I think you're going to have a lot of pickleballers this year, Matt. So
yes, ma'am. Pickleball is always very popular, mm-hmm. and yes, the pickleball courts are active. We've got a good pickleball community here in town. So our senior games, to that point, is going to be in July. And it's July 23rd is our opening ceremony. That will be at the Elko Senior Center. And then games will start the 24th, which is Thursday, run through the 25th and into the morning of the 26th. And then on the 26th, we'll have our closing ceremonies back at the Elko Senior Center. And I want folks to understand also that the Elko Senior Games, Elko Senior Olympic Games, are actually its own 501c3. So we certainly partner with them and we do what we can to help there, but it is not the senior centers. It's an independent organization, and we need help with that as well, particularly with volunteers. So if there is something that you feel you can assist with, we'd love. Our longtime registrar is not able to continue. In fact, I think she's moving, and so that's a big gap to fill. And if you work well with data entry and being able to keep names straight, we don't have a huge amount of players, but we'd love to get some help there. Or if there's an activity, if there's a sport that you enjoy doing and you would like to be able to help be one of our coordinators or an assistant coordinator, we would like that very much as well. And we have everything from pistol shooting to archery to basketball to weightlifting to brain games and Jeopardy, pickleball, of course. And if we have enough people and we have coordinators, we can do golf. We've done, of course, we have bowling and billiards and darts. There's all kinds of things that happen at the Elko Senior Games. And if there is someone that is interested, to either one, be a participant, or two, help us on the staffing side, then we would greatly appreciate that.
Great, Matt. Thank you. And again, senior games are for anybody 50 or older. So consider yourself lucky if you're in that category. There are some great opportunities to make new friends and enjoy some new games or skills, maybe something you haven't tried before. So with the games. Cool.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to make sure in the time that we have that we're getting to everything you were hoping to bring to the program today, Matt.
Yeah, I think so. And I appreciate that. Again, another opportunity for partnership and being able to work with our nonprofits. And speaking of kind of fundraisers and games and having fun, Bunko for the Ruby Mountain Resource Center is coming back to the Elko Senior Center. We had an event in November. We're going to have another one next month in March. So we'll have some more information on that at our next. So when I come in next on March 12th, because I love how February and March days stay the same. So on February or March 5th, March 12th, when I come in, we can talk a little bit more about the Bunko for Ruby Mountain Resource Center, and that will be that Friday, the 15th of March. So great partnership there, and again, we're happy to be able to help where we can. So a few different things and events for fundraising that you can do to help support your nonprofits and be able to help our community and give a little bit of money, but have a lot of fun in return.
Thank you, Matt. It is tax season. We just want to kind of send people out too with the notion and the information that there are some tax consulting folks who are meeting at the terrace at the senior center, and so you can avail yourself of some information. There are a lot of different workshops, opportunities, people who come to the senior center to help people with various, Nevada Legal Services, for example, is a regular at the senior center. If you need medical information, there are just lots of different resources that you are also collaborating with.
Absolutely. In fact, this Friday we have the Access to Healthcare that's coming in, and they do a great job with the Medicare side of things, as does Golden Years Solutions. Golden Years Solutions is a private organization that came in that has actually been working with the Senior Center for 2 or 3 years now. They concentrate a lot on open enrollment, and Access to Healthcare can kind of help along through the rest of the year. And not just for Medicare and Medicaid, but other issues as well. So they are a great partner that we like having coming up. So they'll be here on Fridays. And as you mentioned, H&R Block, it's tax season. So we have H&R Block coming up every Wednesday. Jean Sloan has been coming up, and this is her second week. She'll be here for another 4 or 5 weeks. So we appreciate her coming in and visiting with our members as well. And again, it may be the Elko Senior Center, but it's really a community center that's gauged towards engagement and involvement, and making sure that just overall we're healthy as a community.
And that's a good example. A good example of that is that the Rotary Club is going to be hosting an organizational meeting for the upcoming Ren Fair, the Renaissance Fair. That's going to be at the Senior Center on the 19th, Matt. So you host Rotary, and they're inviting the community to come and help plan the next Renaissance Fair in the Moyle Canyon. Absolutely,
and they'll be having those meetings monthly for the next few months while the Renaissance Fair comes in, and we're pleased to be able to host, and we're happy that the Noon Rotary Club has chosen to meet with us. We have the Morning Rotary Club that meets with us as well. Kiwanis comes in. We have Toastmasters on Friday mornings. So we appreciate the civic clubs being able to help support the senior center and give a little bit back there, and we're happy to be able to host them as well.
It's a revolving door of happy, involved people, and you too can be part of that All you have to do is call or stop by. You can go online, elkoseniors.org. Check out the website. You find the daily menu. You'll find all the list of activities, the things that we've been talking about. You can call and reach a person at 775-738-3030, Matt. And you can just simply be there. Meals are served weekdays starting at 11:30 at 1795 Ruby View Drive, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Absolutely. We are closed Monday for President's Day, so just want to make sure that folks know if it's a county holiday, then we are closed. So keep that in mind. But otherwise, we're open Monday through Friday, and as you mentioned, lunch is served in the dining room, 11:30 to 12:45. If you need a drive-through option, then that's available 10:45 to 11:15. Just give us a call by 9 a.m. And if you or someone you know needs Meals on Wheels, if they're not able to leave the house and they live within the City of Elko limits or the Spring Creek Association limits, call us and we can help get that set up.
Thank you, Matt. We covered a lot of territory today.
Yes, ma'am. We appreciate you as always. Thank you for letting us share our stories.
Well, thank you for being here on Elko Live on KELK. Our guest today, Matt McCarty. He is the director of the Terrace, our senior center, 1795 Ruby View Drive. Thank you so much, listeners, for joining us for today's program.